this is Justin Gardner, manager of Barking Football Club. I wanted to bring out some content to raise money for the NHS and something original, something that no one's did, and try and raise as much money as we can for the real heroes or the NHS. And I've asked managers all across the country, from non-league all the way up to the professional game. You'll see some of the questions being answered. There's over 30 managers, I think, took part in this, which I thank for all helping me with this. And let's raise as much money as we can for NHS. The link will be below. Also, if you can subscribe to the channel, it'll be much appreciated, because I do plan to bring out more content to keep you entertained. And let's see how far we can push this in terms of raising money for the NHS. So I hope you enjoy. We'll be bringing it out in 2 parts. And yeah, look forward to all your feedback and all your comments. Feel free to comment and feedback. And as I said, the main objective of this really is to raise as much money as we can. So if you share on your social medias, that would be really appreciated. Share with friends and family. Thank you. Take care. Justin Gardner.
Hello everyone, Danny Cowley here. I hope that this message finds you all well. Justin Gardner, the manager of Barking Football Club, has asked me to answer a few questions in the hope that we might be able to put a video together where we can raise some money for the wonderful NHS, who are doing such a fantastic job in keeping us all safe in this difficult moment. This is my daughter Isabella, and she's going to have a go at asking the questions. Here we go.
Question 1. Where is the strangest place you have met and also signed a player?
Oh, I would say Harry Toffolo, when we signed him at Lincoln. We signed Harry during the summer. I was desperately trying to get it over the line before I went on holiday. If you remember, Bella, we went on a family holiday to Dubai. Weren't quite able to do it, went back and forth with the agent. Harry himself was going on holiday, so the conversations continued while we were in Dubai. Harry was going away the next evening, and I was desperately trying to get it all agreed before he went away, because we were worried that if he went away, then other clubs would come in and we wouldn't be able to sign him. During the conversation, he explained that he was actually going to Dubai himself, and so it materialised. He was actually staying in the same hotel as us, the Atlantis hotel in Dubai. Now, we kind of call it football fate, but it meant that we were able to continue the conversations on holiday, and Harry actually signed for us in Dubai in the Atlantis hotel in their business lounge. And he turned out to be a fantastic signing for ourselves and for Lincoln City. Played a big part in helping us get promoted from League 2 last season. And we've been lucky enough to sign Harry again at Huddersfield this January, and he's come in at Championship level and done brilliantly.
Question 2. What is the worst excuse you've had from a player for not attending training or even missing a match?
Ooh. I think the players always have my trust until they abuse it. So probably at times players have made excuses and I've trusted them, and maybe they've got away with it. Only they would know that. But I can't think of a particular excuse from a particular player. Steve King, our centre-half at Concord Rangers, never used to like training, would miss a lot of training sessions. He was a key player for us. We wouldn't have achieved what we did at Concord Rangers without his contribution, both as a defender, but also the fact that you could put him down for 10 goals. He was so aerially dominant in the box. But he didn't like training. Now, he was a fireman, so he used to work shifts. So he had good excuse really to miss training, but sometimes we used to think that maybe he would take advantage of that. But he didn't like training, and he wasn't actually a very good trainer, and we didn't like him at training anyway. So we kind of turned a blind eye to that, and like I said, he was doing so well for us on a match day that we kind of tactically ignored it.
Question 3. What is the strangest injury a player has reported to you for not being able to play a match?
Oh, strangest injury. I've been lucky. I've had a lot of really committed players over the years that probably, particularly in our non-league days when you had such small squads, that were willing to play even when they were injured. So I've had a lot of them that have got on with injuries in times where probably others wouldn't have played. Michael Boswick at Lincoln would always play regardless. I can remember him getting a hamstring, grade 2 tear in his hamstring against Coventry on the Saturday, and everyone told us he was going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. And the Friday before the Saturday, he made himself fit, so he literally only had 6 days off with a grade 2 hamstring tear. That was just amazing, and summed him up as a boy. I would probably say Danny Hill before he played for me. So Danny Hill played for me in the first 3 seasons at Concord Rangers. Prior to playing with me, I played with him as a player at Hornchurch, and he mysteriously come to training with a blown up ankle, and he'd ruptured his ankle ligaments, and he was a builder at the time, and he said that he'd fallen down a pothole and created this injury, but it didn't quite add up, and he ended up missing quite a lot of training and also some key games at a very important time in our season. And it ended up that we found out that he actually did it playing football on a Sunday, and he told the manager then, who was John Lawrence, that he'd done it falling down a pothole. So I would probably say Danny Hill. I actually then went on to sign him, like I said, at Concord Rangers, and I think in our first year at Concord, he scored 57 goals for us and helped us get promoted from the Essex Senior League. He'd ended very well in the Ryman Division 1 North, and in our third season together, he actually partnered Lyle Taylor, and the two of them scored over 50 goals as a partnership, and helped us get promoted to the Ryman Premier Division. And Hilsey himself, in his last game for Concord, actually would have scored a goal against Enfield Town in the playoff final, the third goal that clinched our promotion.
Question 4. What is the latest time a player has phoned you or texted you at night?
Well, I've had quite a lot of late night messages from players over the years. I always try to look after the players as best as I can, not only on the pitch but also off the pitch. So I do try to help them, and at times they've got into difficult moments and some scraps, and I've been out to help people with broken down cars, also given some relationship advice at some random times in the evening. So yeah, it would be well after midnight, I would imagine. And yeah, probably at times just trying to help the players get out of difficult moments and scraps that they might have got themselves in. Probably best that I don't name any names at this point, because I wouldn't want to embarrass anybody. But yeah, we've had some good characters, let's say, and I think that's part of your role as a manager. It's not just about managing them on the pitch and coaching them and trying to develop them as players. It's also trying to help them as people. And I know that if they are happy and are in a good place as a person, then normally they're able to play at their best. So yeah, pretty much my phone's on 24/7 for my players.
Final question. What is your pet hate?
I think players that don't make the most of the opportunity that they're given, maybe players that don't make use of the God-given talent that they were born with. Again, the majority of the players that I've worked with have had fantastic attitudes and brilliant work ethics, and really enjoyed working with those players that are really humble and that have success, and then won't just live off that success. They're always hungry to want to improve and want to get better and to achieve further successes. And they're certainly the boys that I like working with and enjoy working with. I often get asked the question, the difference between players at step 5 of the Essex Senior League compared to maybe players at Championship level. And of course, players as you go through the levels are physically more capable, maybe more athletic, technically more able, even have a better tactical understanding. But ultimately, people are just people, and I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of players whose major motivation has been wanting to be successful and wanting to win and find a way of winning. And they're certainly the ones that we've had the most alignment with, and I think whenever you can get a group of players together in a changing room with like-minded attitudes and values, then you can have some success and some fun along the way. Of course, you will have players that are motivated by other things, by money, maybe by girls, by days off, and you have to understand this, and there's nothing wrong in that. And it's always about trying to understand the players that you work with, and trying to find out what motivates them and what gets them out of bed, and then trying to put the necessary support mechanisms in place. And I think always with players, it's about respect and trust, and trying to earn the players' respect and gain their trust. And then once you can do that, then you're able to get the most out of them, and to have a good relationship and a successful relationship. And that's, I think, what we've always tried to do. And I look at all the best managers, and the ones that stand the test of time are the ones with those really good human skills and that ability to manage people and get the most out of people. I think that answers all the questions that I was set. There's definitely some difficult questions. Normally when I get a difficult question at a press conference, I normally answer with no comment, but I did my best to answer them as honestly as I could. Can I again just thank everybody at the NHS, all the doctors and the nurses that day in, day out are putting others before themselves, just doing a brilliant job, and we'll be forever, ever grateful. Hopefully we'll be through this really difficult time very, very soon. I wish everybody all the very best. Stay safe, be kind.
Hello, well, my name is Mark Morsley. I am the new AFC Sudbury manager. I only left the football club less than a month ago, and I've been reappointed this week. On behalf of my good friend Justin Gardner, the quietest football manager I know, he's asked me to do this video and answer a few questions for a very good cause, which is raising money for the NHS, which is something we're all really want to support as much as we can. So, 1, where is the strangest place you have met and signed a player? That would be a number of years ago. The player in question, I won't give his name away because I don't want to get him in trouble, but he was a policeman at the time, and we met at a car park in an Earlscone golf club. That's not hugely strange, but the golf club had probably had a big event that day because it was in the afternoon, and I suspect that looking at the worried faces of the golfers staring out the window at the fact that this policeman was in their car park, most of it had a bit too much to drink. It was a few years ago as well, to be fair, so maybe things weren't quite so iffy if you're drinking and driving. So that was quite funny, that was quite interesting. The worst excuse you've had for a player for not attending training or missing a match. I have had a player many years ago say he had to go shopping with his girlfriend, believe it or not, for a wedding ring. That was something that was related to the rest of the group. I would say he wasn't a contracted player, and it was quite a number of years ago when I was needed a market manager, so we're going back nearly 20 years, but that was an interesting one. Strangest injury a player has to report for me, well, there's only one, and again, I can't mention the lad's name, but he played for me at Needham Market and at AFC Sudbury, famously at AFC Sudbury. He was a very quick winger, and he was very well endowed. And while having a very, very, let's say, lively session with his girlfriend at the time, he burst a blood vessel in his willy, which made it very swollen and very black. And he enjoyed showing us pictures of it, and it was very, very funny. And he was injured for a number of games. I wouldn't want to embarrass him, so I won't mention his name. But I'm sure those of you who were involved with my teams in those years will remember exactly who I'm talking about. What's the latest time a player phone or text you at night? Oh God, I've had phone calls at the early hours in the morning from players in the summer when they've had a drink somewhere and all sorts. I don't mind it too much, to be fair. It's a little bit about the crack of non-league football. So, final question: what is your pet hate? Dirty boots, dirty football boots, which I don't see quite so much now because we've got a 3G pitch at Sudbury, but there's nothing worse than sending a player out with filthy, dirty football boots. So there you go. So, Justin, my old friend, there's the 5 questions. And as it's going for the NHS, let's all say thanks for what they've done for us at these terrible times, and let's hope things move on and improve, and we're playing football before long. All the best.
Hi, I'm Mickey Webberall and I'm manager of Redbridge Football Club. I've been asked to answer 5 questions to raise awareness and bring attention to all the hard work and the amazing efforts that the NHS are putting in this horrid time. First question, strangest place you've ever assigned someone? Mine's not so much a strange place which I signed him, it's the place that I dragged him from. I signed Taylor Tombidis for Redbridge Football Club. He was on a golf course. I told him he had an hour and 30 minutes to sign before the window shut, which was complete gibberish. I think he knew that as well. But yeah, Taylor turned up full of spirit. I'm pretty sure he was wearing an orange pair of trousers, a yellow t-shirt and an orange cap. I've never quite seen anything like it. Yeah, that's certainly the strangest one for me. The worst excuse for missing training. This one, at the time I was angry with, but now I laugh a lot. When I first joined Redbridge, we had a centre-half, Quincy. Very good lad. And I asked him on a Thursday why he missed training Tuesday. He said it was because he had to lay the foundations with his missus. It was he got the nod. So yeah, that's definitely up there for me. Funny now. I didn't find it funny at the time. Strangest injury to not play. Okay, this would definitely be. Now a lot of these are going to reply to him. This would definitely be with Joe Maskell. Joe Maskell was at Man Baker's. Joe Maskell sat down, done the warm up, come in, said his back was hurting. Sat beside the dugout all game, moaning about his back and why he couldn't play, why he couldn't come on. As soon as the final whistle went, he's run straight to the showers, got changed, first man in the bar, last man out of the bar, absolutely steaming, and welcome to the life of Joe Maskell. The latest time a player has ever phoned you. Again, that'll be Joe Maskell. My wife could verify many of these phone calls. It's certainly between the hours of 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And that's following a session. That's not woke up early and gone to work and decided to ring me. So yeah, definitely Joe Maskell for that one. Pet hate. My pet hate would be excuses in general. Reason you're not fit, reason you're late, reason you didn't play well today. For me, it's just excuses. Everyone has a bad day. Got no problem with that. But being late to training, okay, we'll save the problem by taking your stuff to work with you. Being late to a game, no excuses for me. Certainly on a Saturday, midweek you can allow for some traffic. But yeah, generally punctuality and readiness for me. You should always be ready. Because when you're not in the side, you don't like it. And I didn't like it. No player would like it. And if you was a player with any sort of credibility or respect for yourself, you're not going to like it when you're not in the team. So I understand that. But be ready, be fit, be on time, be punctual, be a team player, and be the best you can be. So for me, that's my 5 questions answered. Please raise awareness for all the amazing work that the NHS and all of the key workers are doing. It's a very, very hard time at the moment. And again, they're doing some fantastic work and saving many, many people's lives. So for myself and everyone at Redbridge Football Club, well done and up the NHS.
Okay, my name is Tom Warrillow, manager of Ashford United Football Club. Doing this video for Justin Gardner to raise money for the NHS. Absolutely most important charity in my eyes at the moment. Real heroes, and I hope it raises a lot of money for them. First question. What is the strangest place you have met and signed a player? Not really a strange place or anything exciting really. I've spoken to him at weddings and funerals, but I've signed a few players on my car bonnet off the M2. Nothing lucrative or fancy hotels or bars, but just cars obviously going by must be wondering what we're doing. But yeah, just signing players on my car bonnet. what is the worst excuse you've had from a player for not attending a training match, training or missing a match? Well, to be fair, this boy's honesty is outstanding, because he rang me to say he couldn't come training because he put too much hair removal cream on his body and it burnt his skin, so he couldn't get a shirt on. So I love his honesty, but I think that's a perler. Number 3, what is the strangest injury a player has reported to you for not being able to play a match? I've not really had that, but regarding injuries, I think players want to play, but I've had a player ring me saying that, ironically enough, he was at Ashford United when we were playing Ashford Town in Middlesex, so he'd gone to the wrong ground. But players being players talk, and obviously I knew he'd been out the night before, so I think that might class as an excuse, not an injury, to miss a game. What is the latest time a player has phoned or texted you? Well, this is one my wife would love, because my phone used to go regularly, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the mornings, the boys were out, and I used to see her at training and go, you must be having a really bad night out to keep thinking of me at them times in the morning. You know, your mates must have no banter, no company, blah, blah, blah. But they used to ring. It was, looking back, it's ironic and funny, and I even had 2 lads ringing from Las Vegas. Again, not the best of shapes they were in, but it was 1 o'clock our time, lunchtime, so it's 4 or 5 in the morning. So that was a regular occurrence a while back. And a final question, what's my pet hate? My pet hate is texting. You know, players text, you've got to text them back, you text them back. Just pick the phone up and talk. You know, that's a problem, I think, these days. When you've got 20 players or whatever, and they're all texting you, I just basically said, look, if you text me now, it'll cost you a £5. But I just hate the texting. I love the chat. Anyway, I hope this raises a lot of money. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and obviously I've a bit of a weird way to start the day, but keep well, everyone, and I hope this raises a lot of money. All the best. Thank you.
Hello, this is Craig Edwards, manager of Chisholm FC. Been asked by Justin Gardner to answer 5 questions, and with the hope that we can raise some money for the NHS. So it's a worthy cause. Right, let's have a look. What was question 1? Question 1. Where is the strangest place you have met and signed a player? Well, undoubtedly, that would be inside prison, where I heard someone was coming out, and I was very keen to sign them. And I got a VO, went up there, had a chat, all the old blimey, I hope you're doing well, all this, that, and the other. Then, as it was coming up the time to go, boom, there's a registration form, sign it. So that was one. That was probably the strangest place. I remember we went round to, now a few of these questions, I ain't going to give people's names away for obvious reasons, but there was one. I remember we went round to Lily Bajada's house when we was at Barking, me and Alan Marsden, and went in there. He had the wife and kids and all that, and we was really keen to sign him. And he said, just having a chat, sounded keen. He said, I'll have a think about it, I'll come back. And we just stood there and looked at him. Or sorry, sat there and looked at him and thought, well, we ain't going anywhere. And he was like, it just went quiet. Well, we ain't going anywhere. Do you sign? And he went, no, I need a bit of time. And then Mazzo offered him his car, his wife, and in the end, he gave in and he signed for us, and it was worth all the effort, because he was a great signing for us. Right, number 2. What's the worst excuse you've had from a player for not attending training or missing a match? It's a tough one, because anyone who's played with me, all the boys are always in. We ain't had many dodgy excuses. I suppose one would be, we had a game, got to the game, and someone who's pretty well known television presenter now was told that he's not available by one of the boys, that he's gone on this island, one of these treasure hunt reality shows or something or the other. And so I wasn't very best pleased about that, but it's turned out all right for him, because he's he's still on the box and doing all right for himself. And also, who was it? Johnny Buffon, who was a legend for me, I think, for about 10 years. Basically, every club I went to. When he was a young lad, about 18, doing ever so well. I was at Barking at the time, and we was at home, and it was about, everyone was in at 1:30. It got to about 1:45, no Johnny. Phoned him up. Where are you? He said, I'm at home. I said, well, you should be here. What are you doing? He said, I'm not suitable for today's game. I said, you what? He said, I'm not suitable for today's game. I said, you're not suitable? I said, get your day in here in the next 15 minutes. And he did, and obviously he played with me for 10 years, so. But yeah, that was a strange one. Right, number 3. What's the strangest injury a player has reported to you or not been able to play? Well, probably the worst one was I had a player play with me at Ford United, and he got whack up the nuts, and they literally came up like footballs, and that was a shocker. And he never played again, and he was a very, very, very good player. So that's probably about the strangest one. Number 4. What's the latest a player has phoned you or texted you at night? Well, I had some idiot, Irish lad, it was 3 o'clock on a Saturday, 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, 3 o'clock, woke up, he's in a bar, he's obviously, want to come over for a trial. He said, I'm coming over, and can I come over for a trial? And I've obviously said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you having a lot? And then he's going, oh, no, and I've absolutely ripped into him. But it taught me a lesson, because now the phone goes up 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and that's it. And I don't get any calls. It's on silent. Right, so that taught me a lesson. Number 4. No, it was number 4. That's it. Number 5. Final question. What is your pet hate? This one's easy to answer. I've got about 400. But I'll do a 3, 2, 1. Third is probably agents, players that send me probably 100 CVs a week. And, you get some that are very good and very straight and very honest. But the large majority are absolute rubbish. And I'll get CVs sent through that I think Pep would have a look at them, these players, with what's been written down about them, and they come in and they're nowhere near the level. And yeah, so that's very frustrating. I had one when I always remember this story. I was at Ford United, and a fella rang me up. He said, "Are you the Ford manager?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh right." He said, "Can I come over and train?" And I said, Where'd you play last season? He said, I said, I've never heard of you. So he hung up on me, and that was the last I heard of him. But yeah, that would be third. Second would be pigeonholing of players, my teams. You see a 6 foot bloke with a skinhead who likes to tackle. He can't play, he tackles, Players who put their foot in, like to tackle, they can't play because, they tackle. It's rubbish, I've had, Frankie Curley, absolute beast in midfield, like smash people for fun, but he could play, but never got the credit he deserved. And that happens with a lot of players. I think it's happened over the years with my teams as well. It makes me laugh there, and I do plan it quite a bit. But the side we had I think it started from the side we had at Billericay that won the league. We had an unbelievable side, and it's probably the best I've seen at this level. We played football that I've not seen the like of, and but I had 2 6'5" centre halves, Swaney and Wildy. I had Junior Luke, who could throw the ball the width of the pitch. I had Glenn Paul and David Collis who could put a ball on a sixpence, so we scored a lot of goals from set pieces. But we played unbelievable football. In our midfield, we're all footballers, all tremendous on the ball. Fullbacks were tremendous, so we had really, really good footballers. But, we had this, just long ball, and we never played long ball at all. And I think any player who's ever played with me in 20 years will tell you we've never done a session where we play long ball. But, you get a lot of sheep in football, and they tend to perhaps watch one game and that's their opinion of whatever happens. But when we won, he said to me, John Batch over Canvey once, when we had won a big game over there, he said, "You know what I love about your teams?" And I said, "What's that?" He said, and this is, stuck with me because I thought it was one of the best compliments I've had. He said that I've watched you, wherever you play, he said your teams adapt to whatever the conditions are. And in non-league, you've got, you could play on a Saturday in the wind, rain, freezing cold, and Tuesday can be a beautiful sunny evening, beautiful pitch. On the Saturday, you're in a bog, so you have to adapt. And so I thought that was a good compliment because that's what we always try to do. So that'd be number 2. Number 1, and this is my real pet hate, is acting. I mean, people rolling around that. Back in the day, if you got whacked, and I played up front and I used to get whacked a lot, it was humiliating if you went down, or if a physio, well, you never had physios, you had bucket men, if they came on, you felt a bit humiliated that you're a bit soft. Now you touch a player, they go rolling around, you get all their teammates, get round the referee sometimes, the benchies are screaming for it as well. We suffered a lot for that last year, Cheshunt. And funny enough, every sending off we appealed, we won. And it was, but they get round the referee, and it reminds me of kids at school, all running up the teacher, running up the teacher. Oh, he's hit him, and that's what it's like. It's gone ridiculous, and I think the refs have got a part to play because there was a directive a good few years ago now where you can't get round a referee, but they seem to let that go and punish hardly anything challenges. I mean, we put out some of the sending offs we've had on social media last year that were absolutely ridiculous. But that's where you go. I mean, this has all been pretty long, but that does get me up, But other than that, what pet hates would be opposition managers, Justin. Okay, but well done. I think it's for a great cause. I think you're doing a terrific, and I hope it's very, very successful. And all the best, and I hope to see you soon. Stay well. So, mate. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Paul Halsey, first team manager at Ware FC, and I'm going to attempt to answer these questions. Where is the strangest place you have met and signed a player? I needed a goalkeeper. I think I was a manager at either Hertford or Hoddesdon. And I was struggling to get a keeper, and then I had to drive all the way to Redbridge tube station and meet him outside the tube station, get him to sign so he could play, so we get the form in to play on the coming Saturday. So, yeah, it's probably the strangest place I've signed a player. What is the worst excuse you have had from a player for not attending a training or missing a match? Well, I had a lad who was with me, actually came start of this season as well, but going back a couple of years, a little international player, he passed his test, but he couldn't come training because he couldn't drive in the dark. So he got a little bit of ribbon of that. What is the strangest injury a player has reported for you from not able to play in a match? Not really got one about injuries. It's a bit hard. not really got none on injuries, to be fair. Not out the usual suspects, but I've got one where a player didn't attend the game. I sent a text out. He was due to play in that game or be part of that squad. He was the first one to reply to say he's available. And then by 1:30, 1:45 on the Saturday, I'd rung him to say, "Where are you?" He turned around and said, "I'm not in the squad, Gapper. You didn't text me." I said, "But you text me back to say you was available." So, don't know what he was doing there, to be fair. So, what was the last time a player phoned, or the latest time a player phoned you or texted you at night? Believe it or not, I've had texts down to 2 a.m. in the morning to say they're available for the squad. I even found out one of the players was still online at 1:30 in the morning. So they get caught out like that, I'm afraid. I am a little bit strict on that. Final question, what is my pet hate? Players turning up late, whether it be training or for a match. I hate it. I get so annoyed they don't get there on time. But there's my 5 answers to them 5 questions. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Chico Ramos. I'm the manager of Harsley Town Football Club. And also, obviously, well done for the NHS. Really good, thumbs up for the job they're doing and keeping at risk their own lives at risk. Well done, NHS. So my first answer of the questions I've been asked. So my first one, where is the strangest place you ever met and signed a player? It was in a car park, actually. Yeah, signed a couple players in the car park, really late at night. Second one, what's the worst excuse if you ever had from a player not attending for training or missing a match? Alice said he fell asleep. In a match, just before the match. He had a long night. Third one, what is the strangest injury a player has reported to you for not being able to play? He said he had a bad arm. Yeah, bad arm. I don't know why he came up with a thing around his arm. I couldn't play a match. That was a bit strange. Anyways, fourth one. What's the latest time the player messaged me or text me? It was just after midnight. I think we all managed to get this really late, but it was just after midnight. Okay. Final question. What's my pet hate? Actually, it's the drivers who don't use the indicators when they're turning left or right or whatever it is. Okay. This is my pet hate. And final question. Well done, NHS. Keep it up. Well done for this initiative again. Yeah, keep everyone up and keep safe.
Hi everybody, hope everybody's well and keeping safe. My name's Mark Benton, I'm the Whitman Town First Team Manager. I've been asked to answer some questions, so I'll give it my best shot. Where is the strangest place we have signed a player? A few seasons ago, I went to Disneyland Paris with my family and actually saw a player we was quite keen on in signing for the coming season. So I planted a seed, and then we finally signed him in the local McDonald's when we got back. The worst excuse you've had of a player for not attending training or a match, for me it's training. One player a season or so ago decided that his car had broken down and unfortunately he couldn't make training. We later discovered that he actually doesn't have a car or even a driving licence. What's the strangest injury a player has reported for missing training or a game? I'm a sports therapist myself, so I work in industry. So for me, I haven't had anything in particular. That may be because the players know what I do for work. So for me, the usual twisted knee, sore buttocks, the usual things for me. But I haven't really had anything that stands out to date. What's the latest a player has phoned or texted me? Most managers have people that text them late at night. I've had a player last night who plays for me last season. We're talking in depth at 12:30. So for me, my phone is always open. For people, ex-players, anyone who wants to talk to me, I'm always open and prepared to chat to you all hours in the morning or even the evening. So for me, last night at 12:30, and the player knows who that is. Final question: what is my pet hate? I've just stepped up from step 5 to step 4, my first full season. And for me, as most managers in here would do, you're getting dated with CVs, phone calls, texts, emails. Can I come and play for your club? For me, this year is a big learning curve. The CVs are absolutely fantastic. They're well drilled, really well put together. And that's probably where it ends, because when you get the player in to have a look at the player, the CV doesn't add up. So guys, that's the questions. There's my answers. I hope everyone's staying safe in these difficult times, and we look forward to seeing everyone when the football season comes back. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Hi guys, my name's Emerald Ghazi. I'm the manager at Sporting Bengal, and we play in the Essex Senior League, and our home stadium is Marland Stadium in East London. Okay, so I've been asked to answer 5 questions, which are for a great cause. We're in, strange times, difficult times right now, all over the world, particularly here in the UK as well. Things aren't great. It's unprecedented. COVID-19 has had a massive impact on the way of life here in the UK and across the world. So it's a great initiative here, just trying to, I guess, gain support for the amazing work the NHS are doing in the hospitals up and down the UK. And what I'm going to try to do is hopefully answer 5 questions for you guys around my experiences of managing footballers here in non-league football. I guess the first question for me is what's the strangest place I've signed a player? Listen, I manage in Tower Hamlets, and for those that don't know East London, PFCs are all over the place, and often after games we might go for a quick bite to eat as a team. And to be fair, I've signed 1 or 2. So I guess the strangest place I've signed a footballer or found a footballer and asked him to come training and turned out to be half decent was in a PFC joint in Tower Hamlets. Yeah, some may laugh, but that's the reality of it, I guess. The worst excuse for missing training or missing a game, I've had a few, to be fair. When you're managing a club like Sporting Bengal, you hear all sorts. So, but I guess the few that come to mind, the best one for me was I had a player who called me saying he can't make it on game day. Couldn't make it on game day. Why? Because he was witness to an armed robbery, apparently. Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. That was imagination at its best. We have the usual deaths of uncles and aunties. How many times they've used that excuse? But I always give them benefit of the doubt. It is what it is, you know. But one of my all-time favourites, I had a young footballer, and I know it was true because his mum called him. He was grounded. I think it was a 19-year-old, but he was brilliant. The fact that his mum was still in control. His mum had grounded him for doing something the night before, so not being a good boy. So that was brilliant. So yeah, 19-year-old footballer got grounded by his mum. Love it. Okay, the third question is the strangest injury a player has had leading up to a game. There's been a few, but I guess the most common one I get is a rolled ankle. But some of the excuses you get as to why, if you're usually a parent, I've had a couple where, one, the best one for me was one of the guys. He's a dad, obviously, playing on the trampoline on the morning of the game with his kid, and he rolled his ankle. We're going to say you can't argue with a parent playing with his dad, with his child, right? So, is what it is. You got to take it. That's a good one. What's the latest a player has pulled out of a game? Oh man, I've had loads of them on the day. It's the worst. Nothing. I've had plenty of them where they pull out on the day. The latest I had was 1 o'clock, and it's the usual excuse. I've been called into work. So, listen, what are you going to do? Called into work. The partner's gone into labour. There are a couple of them I've had. So yeah, good ones. But what do you do? And the last one, what is my pet hate as a manager? Quite a few, but I guess what really, really gets my goat is I call them semi-professional tweets, and the non-league football tweets. I can't stand them. The blue ticks. So after a game, 3 points tick. I don't know, goal scored tick, man of the match tick, captain tick, all that kind of stuff really winds me up. The worst one is free agent, and it's always the same people every season. I've been managing Sporting Bengal for nearly 5 seasons now. I can probably name you before the season starts 5 players that will be free agents within 3 weeks of the season starting. And then the worst one for me is when players badmouth managers, my counterparts, for whatever reason on social media. And I just think it's immature, and usually it's the same players that you find are the journeymen that are travelling by the end of the season. I've had 6 or 7 clubs. It's them ones usually. But yeah, social media is my pet hate in terms of non-league tweets, if you like to call it. And that's it. There you go. I've answered my 5 questions. Listen, guys, hope that's been insightful. Hope the answers have been half decent. And listen, support the NHS, you guys. And my message to everybody at the NHS and anybody who's working in the hospitals, or whether you're a frontline worker, keep up the amazing work you're doing. You have my support from everybody at Sporting Bengal. Really, really wish you all the best. Stay safe. And the message to everybody from Sporting Bengal, from myself as well, as someone who works with the NHS in my day job, is stay home and protect the NHS staff. Listen, the last thing we need is people going out there. Social distancing is really, really important. Unless you have to leave the house, don't. The weather's nice. I know it's difficult. Stay home. It's for everybody's benefit. Let's fight this together. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, we're going to be back. Football season's not far away. Hopefully, we're back in some form by the end of July. And we can start with pre-season and get the season up and running by August. Fingers crossed. All the best, guys. Take care.
Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well in these crazy times. I hope everyone's keeping safe. My name's Gavin Rose and I'm the manager for Isthmian Football Club. Justin Gardner's asked me to get involved in this act, or hopefully we can raise some money for the NHS. A few questions Justin provided for me, I'm going to answer them as best as I can. So, where is the strangest place I've met a player and signed a player? I couldn't get hold of one player I tried to meet for ages. We kept on missing each other to the point where he said he was out shopping for his parents. So I met him at his local Tesco's. And whilst he had his shopping bags in his hand, we sat down and spoke about a possible deal. We ended up signing the player. He was a great lad, actually. We had a good chat. So that was probably the strangest place that I've ever signed a player. Question 2, what is the worst excuse you've had from a player for attending training or missing training or a match? We've had a few over the years, as you can probably imagine, from work down to anything. But I think one of the strangest ones was a player basically saying that he forgot that we had a game on the day. He actually turned up to the game at the end of the game and just said he didn't realise he totally forgot. So, yeah, you can probably imagine what our reaction was. Next question. What is the strangest injury a player has reported to you for not being able to play? I wouldn't say it was an injury, which is strange, but we've had it on a couple of occasions where players closer to the time to kick off have basically said, look, they've got stomach pains and they got a bit of diarrhoea and wasn't sure if they'd be able to finish the game or start the game. And that's happened a few times. We've had one where a player's been at half time and stayed in the toilet all the way through and joined the game about 5 minutes late in the second half. So we started with 10 men. So we've had a few strange ones like that. Can't really think of any really crazy ones, but apart from that, yeah. And the question 4, what was the latest time a player had phoned me? Had one player, but it wasn't really humorous to be fair. A player who was taken to hospital after a game, and it was an evening game. It was quite far away. He called me about 2 o'clock to say that he'd just been released from hospital. So to be fair, I wasn't really that angry about that. I was quite happy to know that he was all right. Could have waited till the morning, but hey, it was all right. What is your pet hate? Anyone who's worked with me probably knows my pet hate away from the obvious of losing games, is just excuses. Don't really like players who make excuses, or even people who make excuses. Always like people to be honest, because I think from there you can always build. Hopefully we can raise some money. Great cause. Well done, Justin, for getting us involved.
Hi, I'm Keith McMahon, the manager of VCD Athletic. These are my 5 questions and answers for you. The strangest place I've ever met a player to sign. Now, that has to be, and I'm just going to say his first name, Jonathan. He was working for Tesco's, and I called him and he asked me to go and meet him there to sign. So I had to go over to London and to go in the shop where he was working on the till. And I had to queue up in the till behind people while he was doing their shopping for them. Until I got to the front, I went up and he signed the form and off I went. What is the worst excuse of a player not attending training? Okay, I'm not going to say who this person is, but they told me that they was away working, and then I got a tweet from their partner asking where they were and etc. And I found out that he was actually away somewhere else doing something he shouldn't have been doing with somebody else. So that was maybe the worst excuse. Not naming any names, but I'm sure they know who that is. The strangest injury that stopped someone playing. This goes back a good few years when I was managing Thamesmead, and Lou Tozer was my skipper at the time. And we come in at half time, and he said to me that he couldn't play the second half. He was injured, and I said, "Well, what's wrong with you?" And he said that he got kicked in the private parts in his willy. So I said, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine." So I asked our physio Alan to have a look, and Al's got, I've carried on the team talk, and he's gone, "Keith, he can't play." So we've all turned around and looked, and he's there with his shorts around his ankles, and he has got a right big gash right across his willy. So that's maybe the strangest and the hardest. For the latest time a player has called me, that's easy. That it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. A player rang me to apologise to how bad he played that day. And to be fair, I just went, "Yeah, you actually had a stinker." And they will know who that is as well if they come onto it. Last question: what is my pet hate? This one's easy. For my career, it's lateness. People turning up late and not even having the decency to text or message me to say that they're late for a game or training. That's my massive pet hate in football. Hope that's okay.
Russell here, manager of Cray Wanderers. Justin sent me some questions over, so I'm going to answer them as honestly as I can, and then hopefully people can donate to help Justin raise money for the NHS. What a great cause! So let's all try to give as much as we can towards that. So without further ado, let's answer these questions, shall we? Okay, so where is the strangest place you have met and signed a player? My first year as a manager at Erith Town, I put a 7-day in for a young centre-half at Sevenoaks. It was in the Kent League at the time. Got his number, spoke to him, we agreed to meet. He wanted to meet at Burger King in Liverpool Street. So it was handy for me, I work in the city, so shot over there at lunchtime, thinking that we're just going to meet around the table and sign. When I get there, I see he's behind the till, he works there, but then he tells me that he can't come and sign the form because his boss won't let him have a break because it's peak time. So I decided to just queue up in line on his till. So I just queued up, really big queue, got to the front, just handed the form over. So he's at the till filling out a form and I'm just there waiting. But as you can imagine, these forms don't take 30 seconds, they're like a 5-minute job. So you've got people behind me, it was carnage if I'm honest, but the things you do, when you're on the hunt for a player, so that's my strangest one, definitely. Next question, what is the worst excuse you have heard from a player for not attending training or missing a match? Cole Dent plays for me, great guy. When we was at VCD the first year, we were top of the league. Things were going really well, we were flying, and he just phoned me, I think it was on a Thursday, and said that anyone know Cole Dent, he's follically challenged, so he's bald, and he decided to have his head tattooed, just to their hairline and loads of little dots. But he didn't realise till after that he wasn't allowed to play sport So no heading or sweating, but if anyone's seen Denty play, he does neither of the two, so I don't know why he couldn't play, but he didn't play, so that's the strangest I've had. What is the strangest injury a player has reported to you but not been able to play in a match? We did play in the end, but a few years ago we drew Braintree away in the trophy. Big game, because we'd gone quite a few rounds and Braintree were like top of the National League South under Bradley. Gone there, done the team talk, picked a side, said to the boys, right, I'll see you out on the pitch. I want you out of the dressing room at 2:10. On the pitch, players start coming out, boys are coming out, said you need to go and see Ben Mandel, the right back. Something's not right with him. Couldn't work it out because I'd seen him 20 minutes earlier having a bit of banter with him. He's come out and his whole, I didn't even recognise him, his face just ballooned up, his eyes had shut from the swelling. He'd had one of the breakfast bars that they all have in the dressing rooms now, and he had an allergic reaction to one of them. So it was a bit of a concern. Lucky enough, we've got Ali, our physio, who works for the NHS. Had some Puritan tablets in a medical bag given to him, and thankfully 20 minutes later he'd all returned to normal and he wanted to play. So yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, that's probably the strangest I've seen. Question number 4: What was the last time a player phoned you or texted you at night? I've not really had players texting me really late doors. I've heard managers and players tell me about these 2-3 a.m. in the morning phone calls from managers drunk and having banter and all that. Nah, that ain't a bit of me. I've got a young family. Lucky enough, I've had no one do that to me. If any of my players are watching this as well, then don't even think about it. That's a hefty fine right there. No, I've got no stories whatsoever. I've not had it, thankfully. I've had a text at 5 in the morning from one of my players whose missus went into labour, but apart from that, all good. Final question: what is your pet hate? I think your pet hate is, like most managers, timekeeping. I think, when you've planned a session all week and you're ready to go and you're waiting on people to turn up, it can be frustrating. And then match days as well, you just want to get going and get your team talk done and get out there, and if people are late, then it is frustrating. Generally, I must admit, at Craig, they're very, very good. Bradley Pritchard. Yeah, they're very good, so we don't really have that. And I think the other pet hate is when you see a really good player who's playing because at the level he's at is because he can't get himself fit, carrying weight, or I find that frustrating. Even the boys that don't play against us, I look at them and I think, what a good player you are, but they're gasping for breath, or they just can't do what their body's allowing and their brains wants to do, their body won't allow them to do. I find that a pet hate, because I think there's so much talented players out there. Just put the hard work in, and you've got to reap the rewards of that. So that's a little pet hate of mine. Just players being fit. We don't get enough time with them really to affect that. So do that yourself. Get yourself fit and ready, and then we'll do the rest as managers to give you the platform to showcase all your talents. So that's the questions answered. Please donate. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.